I wiped the sweat from my forehead, the Colorado sun beating down on the construction site like a relentless enemy. My hands, rough and calloused from years of hauling bricks and mixing concrete, trembled slightly as I lifted another load. At 55, my body wasn't as strong as it used to be, but I pushed on. "Olivia, take it easy," my coworker, a grizzled man named Mike, shouted over the noise of the machinery. "That load's heavy." "I can handle it," I called back, my voice steady despite the ache in my back. Mike was right. It was heavy, but so was the weight of my responsibilities. My daughter Amanda was depending on me. She was 18 now, with her father's blue eyes and my determination, her long brown hair often tied back in a ponytail as she studied late into the night. Amanda was heading to college in Denver, and every brick I carried was a step toward her future. It hadn't always been this way. My husband, David Miller, had been the rock of our family. He was a tall, broad-shouldered man with a kind smile and hands that could fix anything on our small farm in rural Colorado. David had dreamed of giving our daughter the world, but a heart attack took him when Amanda was just 10. Left alone, I sold off parts of the farm to keep us afloat. But college? That was a mountain I had to climb myself. The day Amanda got her acceptance letter to the University of Colorado, she ran into our kitchen, waving it like a trophy. "Mom, I did it!" she screamed, her face flushed with joy. She was wearing her favorite jeans and a simple t-shirt, looking every bit the young woman ready to conquer the world. I hugged her, my heart swelling with pride, but the tuition figure, $25,000 a year, loomed like a shadow. "How are we going to pay for this, Mom?" she asked later that night, her voice small as we sat at the kitchen table, the wood scarred from years of family meals. "I'll make it work," I said, squeezing her hand. "You just study hard and make something of yourself. One day when you're successful, you'll take care of me, right? Bring me to the city, maybe even a nice apartment with a view." She laughed, tears in her eyes. "Promise, Mom. A big house in Denver. The works. No more worrying." "Promise," I echoed, though I knew the road ahead was hard. To fund her dream, I borrowed from neighbors, $5,000 here, $2,000 there, kowtowing in humiliation when they hesitated. "It's for Amanda's education," I'd plead. When that wasn't enough, I took on construction work, earning $15 an hour for backbreaking labor. The site was full of men like Mike, who respected my grit, but worried about a woman in her 40s doing such work. Still, it paid the bills. When money ran low, I did the unthinkable. I started selling plasma at the local clinic, twice a week, $40 a session. The needle pricked my arm, leaving bruises, and the process left me dizzy, but it added $320 a month. "Mom, you look so tired," Amanda said one evening, noticing the marks on my arms as I cooked dinner, simple stew from our garden vegetables. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Just working hard for you." She hugged me. "When I graduate, I'll pay you back, take you to Denver, let you live easy." The day she left for college, I stood on our porch, watching her drive away in our old Ford truck, loaded with her belongings. "Study hard, Amanda. Take care of yourself," I shouted, waving until she was a speck on the horizon. The farm felt empty, but I kept going, sending checks, $2,000 a month for tuition, room, and board. Over 4 years, it totaled $96,000, every penny from my sweat and blood. Amanda graduated with honors in marketing, her cap and gown a symbol of our sacrifices. She landed a job in Denver, earning $60,000 a year, and met Andrew, a sharp, ambitious man from a middle-class family, with short dark hair and a confident smile. They got engaged quickly. For the wedding, I scraped together $8,000, working overtime on weekends installing drywall for a contractor friend. "Mom, it's perfect," Amanda whispered during our dance at the reception, her white gown rustling against my simple dress. "I'll never forget what you've done for me," she said. But as months turned to years, the calls grew sporadic. Visits? Almost none. I understood. She was busy building her life with Andrew, who worked as a financial advisor, their combined income now $120,000. They had a son, little David, named after my husband, but I'd only seen photos. "Mom, come visit," Amanda said once, but when I suggested it, she hedged. "Maybe next month." One spring, I couldn't wait anymore. I packed a basket with fresh eggs for my chickens, homegrown vegetables, and a small quilt I'd sewn for the baby. Amanda was pregnant again. I took the bus to Denver, my heart pounding with anticipation. Their apartment was in a nice suburb, a 2-bedroom rental for $2,000 a month. When Amanda opened the door, her face fell. She looked elegant now, her hair styled short, wearing a blouse and slacks. "Mom, what are you doing here?" "I brought some things for you and the baby," I said, holding up the basket. "And I wanted to see little David." She glanced behind her. "You should have called. Andrew's home. Just leave the stuff. I'll pick it up later." "But I came all this way. Can't I come in? I have a gift for David, a $50 savings bond." "Keep it, Mom. We don't need it." Andrew appeared, tall and imposing in his button-down shirt. "Who's this, honey?" "This is Aunt Sophia from back home. My old neighbor." I froze. Aunt Sophia? Why not Mom Olivia? "Yes, Aunt Sophia," Amanda said, her voice tight. "She brought some farm goods." Andrew nodded. "Thanks, Aunt Sophia. We appreciate it. Honey, we have that dinner with clients." As they closed the door, leaving me on the stoop, something in me broke. Was I that embarrassing? My rural roots, my worn clothes? That night, in a cheap motel, $80 a night, I cried. But the next day, Amanda called. "Mom, our nanny quit. Come back for a few days. Help with David. But if anyone asks, you're Aunt Sophia, Andrew's family. They're city folk. They wouldn't understand a rural mom." I agreed, desperate for family. As long as I can see my grandson. Little did I know, it was the start of my humiliation. As the weeks stretched into months, I found myself fully immersed in the role of Aunt Sophia, the helpful but invisible family friend. It started innocently enough. I'd wake up early in their guest room, the one with the stiff mattress and plain white walls, and head straight to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. I'd make the tomato soup Amanda had loved as a child, simmering it slowly with fresh herbs from the small pot I'd brought from the farm. The aroma would fill the apartment, reminding me of simpler times back home, when she'd sit at our old wooden table, slurping it down after school. Now she'd barely glance at it, too busy scrolling through her phone for work emails. Little David, my grandson, became my anchor in this strange new world. At 3 years old, he was a bundle of energy, with his mother's bright blue eyes and a mop of curly brown hair that always seemed to need brushing. He'd tug at my skirt with his tiny hands, looking up at me with that innocent smile. "Auntie Sophia, can we play trucks? Stay forever, please?" He'd beg, his voice high and pleading as he pushed his toy vehicles across the living room carpet. I'd kneel down to his level, ignoring the creak in my knees from years of hard labor, and join him. "Of course, sweetie. Auntie will stay as long as you need." But inside, my heart twisted each time he called me Auntie instead of Grandma. It was a small word, but it carried the weight of Amanda's denial. Amanda's pregnancy was progressing, her belly rounding out under her fashionable maternity blouses and stretchy pants that she ordered online for $80 each. She carried herself with a mix of exhaustion and excitement, often rubbing her stomach absent-mindedly during dinner. Andrew, her husband, was consumed with work. He was a tall man in his early 30s, with neatly trimmed dark hair and a perpetual 5 o'clock shadow from late nights at the office. As a financial advisor, he was chasing a major deal, a $400,000 contract with a local tech company that specialized in software solutions. "If this closes, we're golden," he said one evening over dinner, his fork waving enthusiastically as he spoke. "We could finally afford that house we've been eyeing in Boulder, $500,000. with a yard for David and room for the new baby. I sat quietly at the end of the table, serving seconds of the roast chicken I'd prepared, listening as they dreamed aloud. Later that night, after David was asleep, I overheard them in the living room, their voices low but animated. With that kind of money coming in, I could get the new SUV I've been wanting, $40,000 model, with all the bells and whistles, Amanda said, her tone bubbly as she flipped through a catalog on her tablet. Andrew chuckled, leaning back on the couch. Sounds good. And for me? A set of those premium golf clubs? $2,000 worth. We've earned it, after all the hard work. Their plans unfolded like a roadmap to a life I wasn't part of, built on the foundation of my silence and sacrifices. They didn't know, or perhaps chose not to remember, that every dollar they'd started with traced back to the tuition I'd paid, the loans I'd repaid alone. One afternoon, while folding laundry in the guest room, I rummaged through my old bag and found a folder of faded receipts. There they were, $48,000 in college tuition payments over 4 years, each one stamped and signed, funded by my construction shifts and plasma donations. I sat on the bed, tracing the numbers with my finger, remembering the exhaustion, the dizziness after each clinic visit. You deserve better than this. I could almost hear my late husband David's voice echoing in my mind, his gentle tone from those long-ago evenings when he'd massage my sore shoulders after a double shift. That evening, the tension boiled over. Amanda cornered me in the kitchen as I washed dishes, her face flushed with irritation. Mom, why on earth did you tell the neighbor downstairs that you're my aunt? You know the story, stick to it. Andrew's parents are visiting next week, and they're real city people. They grew up with all the privileges, fancy schools, vacations abroad. If they find out about you being my rural mom, with the farm background and everything, it could make things awkward. They already think we're stretching to fit in. I dried my hands on a towel, meeting her eyes steadily. Amanda, I'm not ashamed of who I am or where we come from. I worked hard to give you this life. Why hide it? She rolled her eyes, crossing her arms over her growing belly. Because it's not about you, Mom. It's about fitting in, building a future for David and the baby. Just play along, okay? For once, think about us. The words cut deep, but I nodded, biting back my response. When Andrew's parents arrived a few days later, the air was thick with pretense. His mother was a prim woman in her 60s, with perfectly coiffed silver hair and a pearl necklace. Her husband equally polished in a sweater vest and slacks. They eyed me curiously as I served coffee. Aunt Sophia, how quaint, his mother said, her gaze lingering on my calloused hands and simple blouse. You must tell us about your neighborhood back home. I smiled politely. It's a quiet place, lots of hard work and good people. They nodded, but the judgment was clear. Later that week, the ring incident repeated itself, amplifying the cracks in our fragile arrangement. Amanda's favorite silver ring, a $200 piece with a small diamond, went missing from her dresser. Aunt Sophia, have you seen my ring? It was right here this morning, she asked, her voice sharp as she rummaged through drawers. I shook my head, confused. No, honey, I haven't touched anything in your room. Her eyes narrowed, and she began searching my guest room belongings without asking. It has to be here. Things don't just disappear. Did you take it, thinking you needed money or something? I'd never steal from you, I protested, my voice rising in hurt and disbelief. After all I've done, selling plasma, working construction to pay for your education, how could you think that? Andrew walked in, his face stern. Calm down, everyone. But to be sure, maybe we should call the police. It's not the first time something's gone missing since you arrived. The humiliation was overwhelming. I grabbed my bag and fled the apartment, tears blurring my vision as I stumbled down the stairs. Outside, I called Robert, my godson, who answered on the first ring. Mom, what's wrong? You sound upset. I met my adopted child many years ago, one night as I was on my way home from a late shift. On the street, I saw a homeless teen, thin with messy blonde hair, scavenging for food. "Sorry, ma'am," he said, snatching my apple. Instead of anger, I felt compassion. "Come with me. I'll make you a meal." His name was Robert, 14, orphaned after his parents' car accident. I took him to a diner, bought him burger and fries, 15. "You can stay with me on the farm," I offered. Over years, Robert became like a son. He helped with chores, got his GED, then college on scholarships. Now 35, he was a manager at a tech firm, earning $140,000, married to Selena, a kind woman with long red hair and a warm smile. Their home was modest, a $400,000 house in Denver suburbs. Through sobs, I told him everything, the constant denial, the accusations, the way Amanda treated me like an unwanted guest. "I can't do this anymore," I whispered. His voice hardened with anger. "That's your own daughter? Unbelievable. Come to my place right now. Selena and I will take care of you." At Robert's house that night, surrounded by his warm family, Selena with her welcoming smile and their cozy living room, I felt a glimmer of peace. But Robert wasn't done. "Mom, your birthday's coming up. Mother's Day. Your 56th. Let's make it special. I'll plan a modest party at the community hall, invite some friends and work contacts. You deserve to be celebrated." What I didn't know was that Andrew's big $400,000 deal was with Robert's tech company, and the invitations would include Amanda's family, setting the stage for everything to unravel. The hall was booked, streamers ordered, and guests confirmed. As the date approached, the tension in my heart built like a storm on the horizon. The community hall buzzed with conversation as guests mingled under the soft glow of string lights draped across the ceiling. Tables were set with simple centerpieces, fresh flowers from Selena's garden, and a modest buffet lined one wall, offering sandwiches, salads, and a birthday cake I'd helped bake earlier that day. Robert had insisted on keeping it intimate, inviting about 50 people, friends from his office, a few neighbors, and some business contacts he thought might appreciate the gathering. At 56, I wasn't used to being the center of attention, but Robert's enthusiasm made me smile. He stood tall in his casual button-down shirt, his blonde hair neatly combed, chatting with guests while Selena, with her warm red curls tied back, poured drinks and made everyone feel welcome. I smoothed my dress, a simple blue one Selena had lent me, and took a deep breath. The air smelled of coffee and fresh-baked goods, a comforting reminder of home. Little did I know the evening was about to turn into something far more dramatic than a birthday celebration. The door opened, and in walked Amanda, Andrew, and their family. Amanda looked polished as always, her short bob haircut framing her face, wearing a chic blouse and skirt that screamed city sophistication. Andrew followed, adjusting his tie, his dark hair slicked back. Carrying little Ethan, I decided to rename the grandson in my mind to avoid confusion with my late husband. Ethan suited his energetic spirit. Amanda's eyes scanned the room and locked onto me. Her face paled, then twisted in confusion. "Aunt Sophia? What on earth are you doing here?" she hissed, pulling me aside near the punch bowl. Her voice was low but sharp, like a knife edge. "This is a private event. How did you even get invited?" I straightened my back, meeting her gaze. "I was invited, Amanda, by Robert. This party is for me. It's my birthday." She laughed nervously, glancing around to see if anyone had overheard. "That's ridiculous. You're our helper, our nanny. You can't just show up at places like this. People will ask questions." Andrew approached, frowning, his tall frame looming as he crossed his arms. "What's going on? Aunt Sophia, is everything okay? We didn't expect to see you here." Before I could respond, Robert stepped in, his expression shifting from warm host to protective son. He placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. "Everything's fine, but let's clear this up. Everyone, if I could have your attention for a moment." The room quieted, guests turning toward us with curious looks. Sophia stood nearby, her kind eyes watching intently, ready to support whatever came next. Robert cleared his throat, his voice steady and clear. "Thank you all for coming tonight to celebrate Olivia, my godmother. She's the woman who saved my life when I was a homeless kid on the streets. She took me in, fed me, raised me like her own. Without her, I wouldn't be where I am today, a manager at my firm, with a loving family. This party is to honor her sacrifices and her incredible heart." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Amanda's face drained of color completely. "Godmother? What are you talking about? She's Aunt Sophia, our family friend. She helps around our house sometimes." Andrew nodded vigorously, his confident demeanor cracking. "Yeah, exactly. She's been great with our son Ethan. But godmother? That doesn't make sense." Robert's eyes narrowed, and he pulled out a folder from a nearby table, documents he'd prepared in advance, knowing this moment might come. "Let me show you why it makes perfect sense. Olivia isn't just my godmother, she's Amanda's biological mother." Gasps echoed around the hall. A few guests whispered, "What? That can't be right." I felt my cheeks flush, the weight of years of hidden pain surfacing. Amanda shook her head frantically. No, that's not true. Mom, Aunt Sophia, tell them. You're from the old neighborhood, right? You helped with chores, but you're not my mom." I looked at her, my voice trembling but firm. "Amanda, why keep denying it? I raised you on that farm after your father died. I worked construction, sold plasma, everything to send you to college. You promised to take care of me, but instead, you hid me, called me Aunt Sophia to fit in with Andrew's family." Andrew turned to Amanda, his face a mix of shock and anger. "You said you were an orphan, that your parents died young. Is this some kind of joke?" "It's not a joke," Robert interjected, opening the folder. He held up papers for everyone to see, yellowed but clear. "Here's Amanda's birth certificate. Mother, Olivia Scott, father, David Miller, and these are tuition receipts, $96,000 over 4 years, all paid by Olivia from her hard-earned money. Construction jobs, plasma donations, loans from neighbors. She even has hospital records from the blood center." A guest in the back murmured, "That's incredible. What a sacrifice." Amanda's eyes filled with tears, but she doubled down. "Those could be faked. Mom, Aunt Sophia, why are you doing this? You're embarrassing us." I stepped forward, my heart aching but resolved. "I'm not embarrassing you, Amanda. You did that to yourself by denying me. All I wanted was to see my grandson, Ethan, without pretending to be someone else. You made me lie, hide who I am, because my rural life wasn't good enough for your city world." Andrew rubbed his temples, looking betrayed. "If this is true, then our whole marriage, you lied about your family? My parents think you're from some upscale suburb." Robert's voice rose, protective. "It is true, and because of how you've treated her, accusing her of theft, treating her like a servant, I'm withdrawing the business deal. That $400,000 contract with my firm, it's off the table. I won't do business with people who disrespect the woman who saved my life," Amanda gasped, clutching Andrew's arm. "You can't do that. We need that deal. Our mortgage, Ethan's school. Please, Robert, reconsider." Andrew pleaded too. "Look, if there's been a misunderstanding, let's talk it out. Aunt Sophia, Olivia, help us. Tell him it's not that bad." I shook my head slowly, tears welling. "It was that bad. You called me a thief over a ring Ethan had taken for play. You made me feel like dirt in my own daughter's home. No more." The room was tense, guests shifting uncomfortably. Selena stepped up, her voice gentle but firm. "Everyone, let's take a moment. This is a family matter, but tonight was meant to celebrate Olivia's strength and love." As the crowd dispersed into awkward conversations, Amanda pulled me aside again. "Mom, please, for Ethan's sake, beg Robert to keep the deal." But I stood tall. "No, Amanda. You've had years to make this right. Tonight, the truth is out." The party continued in subdued tones, but for me, it felt like a weightlifting. Revelations hurt, but they also heal. Andrew sighed, slumping into a chair. "Olivia, Mom, I'm sorry too. I went along with it because I trusted Amanda. But if this means divorce, if we can't fix the finances, I don't know what to do." "Divorce?" Amanda gasped, turning to him. "You'd leave me over this? After everything?" "If we lose everything, what choice do I have?" Andrew replied, his voice weary. "The company's folding. Clients are jumping ship because of the pulled contract. We're looking at $100,000 in total debt now, including credit cards. How do we feed David?" Selena spoke up, her voice soft but firm. "This isn't about money. It's about respect. Olivia raised Robert when he had nothing. She's the kindest person I know. You two need to make this right, not just with words, but actions." I nodded, feeling a weight lift slightly. "Andrew, Amanda, I forgive you, because you're my blood. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. I won't be your secret anymore. And Robert, thank you for standing up for me. You've been more of a son than I could have hoped." The room fell silent, broken only by Amanda's quiet sobs. Debts loomed, relationships fractured, but in that moment, the truth was out. For the first time in years, I felt seen, not as Aunt Sophia, but as Olivia Scott, the mother who'd given everything. The path ahead was uncertain, with threats of divorce hanging like a sword. But I knew one thing: I wouldn't be alone. Robert and Selena were my family now, and perhaps, just perhaps, Amanda and Andrew could earn their way back. As guests left, offering sympathetic hugs, I realized this was the start of reclaiming my dignity. No more hiding in the shadows. The days after the birthday party revelation were a whirlwind of chaos for Amanda and Andrew. Bank notices started piling up in their mailbox. Overdue payments on their $350,000 apartment mortgage. Credit card bills totaling $80,000 from loans they'd taken for vacations and upgrades. Their comfortable life was crumbling. Andrew's job was at risk without Robert's contract, and foreclosure loomed like a dark cloud. After a series of heartfelt conversations, Andrew and Amanda made the difficult decision to entrust David's upbringing to me, as they were facing financial hardship. They came to our home in person to apologize and express deep remorse. They truly believe that, with Robert and Selena's guidance and my love and care, David will grow up in a nurturing environment and enjoy a far brighter, happier childhood. The sun dipped low over the Denver skyline, casting a warm golden glow through the windows of Robert's modest suburban home. It was a 3-bedroom ranch-style house. Nothing extravagant, just $420,000 worth of comfort in a quiet neighborhood, with well-kept lawns and friendly neighbors who waved as they walked their dogs. I'd been staying here for a week now, ever since the explosive confrontation at Amanda and Andrew's apartment. The chaos of that day still echoed in my mind, but here, with Robert and Selena, I felt a peace I hadn't known in years. Robert sat across from me at the kitchen table, his broad shoulders relaxed in a simple polo shirt, his blonde hair slightly tousled from a long day at the office. At 35, he carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone who'd built his life from scratch, his tech manager role bringing in a steady $140,000 a year. Selena, his wife, busied herself in the kitchen, her long red hair tied back as she prepared a simple dinner, roast chicken with vegetables from the local market. She was kind-hearted, with a soft smile that reminded me of the friends I'd had back on the farm, and at 32 she balanced her part-time nursing job with raising their 2 young kids. "Mom," Robert said gently, using the title he'd given me years ago, "you don't have to decide anything right now. Stay as long as you want. This is your home too." I looked at him, my eyes filling with tears. "Robert, you've already given me so much. I don't want to be a burden." Selena turned from the stove, wiping her hands on a towel. "Olivia, your family. The kids love having Grandma here. And honestly, After what you've been through, you deserve some rest. Little David now calls me Grandma Olivia. We play in the backyard, building blanket forts just like I used to with Amanda when she was little.